Hi there and welcome back to yet another feature video. Today we want to talk about conversions. Everything around what is a conversion, how to track conversions, how to implement different types of conversions, how to implement observations, so not something that doesn't count towards your conversion goal, and everything in the goals tab in our CROLabs dashboard. And yeah, let me head right into it. So what you see here are conversion goals that we implemented for our Shopify shop. At the top, you see that we use this URL, and you can also add a new target URL if you haven't implemented any goals yet, or if you have a different URL and you want to add a new one, you need to do this here. If you want to collect heat map data, which is very useful in many cases, we want to toggle on the heat map collection. So this button right here. And then looking at the list, we have goal name, identifier, event type, trigger, value, and action. Actions is anything around editing the conversion goals, deleting a conversion goal. So before I add a new conversion goal, let's talk about why we need to do this. If you are tracking what version for your website is better than another version, you need to implement conversion goals first, because you cannot identify one version above the other if you're only tracking general visitors. Because the tool CROLabs itself obviously doesn't know what you personally or your shop or your website counts as a conversion. This might be a form submit. This might be a page, a thank you page after the checkout. This might be a sign up for example, newsletter. Anyone counts a conversion differently, and that's very important. You personally need to identify what is your conversion. So what we want to do here is add a new goal. So you click add new goal and you have a list here. So first you need to give it a meaningful name. So for example, completed purchase, newsletter submission, anything that you might count as a conversion. It's important that you give it a meaningful name, otherwise you will not identify it later on. This is very important since the goal name will be within your analytics section. So let's name it, for example, for now, purchase event. In this case, it's not a page view, it's not a form submission, it's not time spent on the website, it's not scroll depth, and it's nothing that we want to program. It's an element click. We count it as a primary conversion and not an observation. Observation, you can also use element clicks as observations, so you track it and you know when a certain event happens without it counting towards your conversion goal. And since the purchase event is a primary conversion, we go select from website. And then now we are in our shop. So what we want to do, we can either use this as a click. For example, whenever someone clicks this is a conversion, or this is the purchase event, which it is obviously not. So we want to disable picking down here. Then we want to click this right here. And for now, we will use the checkout button as the primary conversion. Obviously, it makes more sense to use the thank you page in this case, because whenever someone clicks this button, it doesn't mean they actually purchase what you're selling. So we will click it for now. And as you see, it is selected as the checkout button. And we save it. And then we have a new event down here as the checkout button. We want to also add some observations. So for example, time spent. This is an observation, and this is time spent on page. For us, it's important that they spend at least 60 seconds on the page, because we think that's, you can also add, for example, 30 seconds. You can also add 20 seconds. It doesn't matter. But for us, let's say 60 seconds is important. So we add this one as well. And then a very important metric, scroll depth. We have this one in our analytics section as well. If you collect heat map data, you will also collect this data. However, it makes sense to track, for example, 50%. So you can also track any other 25, 75, you can track all within one goal. This is probably the most important one, since it depends on how long your website is. Since if you have, for example, 20 sections or 22 sections, IKEA has 22 sections, for example, most users will not scroll past 50%. So it is important to track these metrics to find out where the users jump off and how many users actually see what is below 50%, to not add any important content below 50%. Let's save this one as well. Oh yeah, name is required. Very good. I haven't put that in here. Scroll depth 50%. All right, so these are now all in here. Another important thing might be this one. So if you have anything that can be programmed, a goal identifier. If you set a CTag function within your JavaScript code, you can use also this as a goal identifier. You can directly copy this snippet and add it to your JavaScript. This is only important for the people who are actually programming themselves. Most of you probably will never use this function, and this is okay. We just wanted to add it for people who may be using this. Let's add another event in here, which is a form submission. For example, we say newsletter submit. right? Someone is actually signing up for a newsletter. We make it a form submission, and it's an observation because it's not a primary conversion goal for us, and then we select it on our website. And this will be this event right here, right? The contact footer. Whenever this is submitted, it will count as an observation. So this is already it. It's not a lot, but please add these before you start testing, because otherwise CROLabs will not know what you count as a conversion, will not count your conversion rate properly, and thus also not find a winning variant. So thank you very much for watching. In the next video, I will show you how to identify these in the analytics section, which then actually shows you each of these conversion goals and observations in action and what they look like in the analytics section, and how to compare, how to interpret them, and how to use them in your favor. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.